Welcome, Traceable Designers. Today we're going to make the straight style valance. We'll make both the single panel valance and the Cornice-Style valance. We'll begin with the Cornice-Style valance. You'll need your straight design form from your Traceable Designer kit. Okay, let's start by making side panels. You will be making two matching side panels. Get your fabric, fold it in half, and then position the sizing line you've selected on the folded edge, making sure you have plenty of excess fabric around the outside edges, and then grab your fusible fabric backing. Turn your fabric over so the back side is facing up, and then position the fusible fabric backing with the glue side down along the lined fabric positioning marker on your design form. Make sure it's all sized properly so you have room on the top, and then cut off the excess from the bottom of your backing. Make sure the top of the backing is even with the upper section of the lined fabric positioning marker, and then with a dry iron, just fuse your fabric backing down, beginning in the middle, sweeping out toward the sides. Once that's 100% cooled, peel that piece of paper back to expose the glue and reserve that for later when you attach your trim. Next, you'll cut a piece of lining that will fit even across the top edge of the glue, very straight, and then make sure that extends beyond all the outside edges of the fabric. And then beginning in the middle, with a dry iron again, start in the center with sweeping motion out toward the sides until the lining is completely secured. Fold your fabric section in half and pin it. Make sure that it's very even, and then position your design form on the sizing line, making sure that it is straight across the lined fabric positioning marker so that it's all centered. And then beginning at the top of the lining, just trace your design form edges all the way along the side and the bottom. And then you're going to trace the upper section for the rod pocket, so you'll trace across the top and then down the side. Now turn your fabric with the folded side facing you and pin the upper section to hold it secure. And then just follow your cut line and carefully in long sweeping cuts, cut around the edge, the corner there, and up the side. And then turn the piece of fabric toward you with the cut side facing you to do the upper section, and then cut across the top to remove the excess. Then run an iron across the crease so that you can see it more easily, and then cut your fabric section in half to make mirrored side panels. Okay, we're ready to make our rod hanging pocket, so fold that fabric section in half and then iron it across to keep it nice and flat. Then you're going to cut a piece of fusible fabric backing about 2 3/4 inches wide, which will fit the width of each side of your side panels. And then you'll make sure that that does not overlap. Leave a little space between there and the lining, and then just iron that down. You'll do that on both pockets, making sure it doesn't overlap. Once that's completely cool, you'll peel that piece of paper back and then carefully stretch and fold that over nice and straight, and then take your time to get that fused down nice and solid. Since the design form is sized for extra long side panels, you're going to need to adjust your side panels. So hang it and take a look at it and make sure you like the length, and then just trace across the bottom to remove the excess, and then you'll just cut that off from both of your side panels to readjust the size. Okay, it's time to move on to our center panel. We're making our base panel first, so position your sizing line and then take note of the 13.5-inch upper section so you have plenty of room with excess fabric. Open your fabric up, and then you will put your fusible fabric backing down in the center of this entire panel so that you leave about a 1/2-inch rim so that you don't end up fusing the backing to your ironing board, and then just fuse that on. Once it's completely cooled, again, peel that off in one piece and reserve that. Put your lining on top and then fuse that down. Make sure that extends past all of the edges of your fabric and get that nice and secured. Now just fold your fabric in half with the lining side facing out and give it a pin there on the side to hold it. Then notice where the glue is adhered to the lining. You can see it, it's a little bit darker. Then position your sizing line, making sure you're staying inside where all of the fabric is fused solidly to the lining, and then beginning on the 13.5-inch upper sizing line there. For the height of this panel, you're going to trace the whole entire design form, mark off the 13.5-inch size, and then just slide your design form down, making sure that's very straight, and then trace across the top edge to indicate your cut line. Okay, turn the panel with the folded side facing you and follow your cut line with long sweeping motions, and make sure you go nice and even, holding the panel down, and cut around the curve and up the side. Then turn it with the cut side facing you, and then just cut off your panel height. Okay, now we're making our contrast insert panel. So this one gets sized on the insert panel sizing line, the contrast insert line, and you're going to do this a little different. This one is not lined, so you're going to size that and then trace right on top of the paper for this one. So beginning again at the same 13.5-inch height line, just trace your form right onto the paper and then move it down and cut off your height. Turn the panel toward you with the folded edge facing you, and then cut out your panel just like you did for your center panel. And then you'll remove the height that is going to be adjusted for your insert. Peel off the paper to expose the glue, and then position it over your base fabric. Make sure you measure to make sure everything is perfectly straight, and then just using an iron again, fuse your contrast panel to your center panel all around all of the edges to make sure it's nice and solid. Then flip it over and you can see where you cut off the excess from the top section. For this example, I'm going to use that excess fabric to attach an accent strip to my side panels. So that'll be sized and then fused to the side panel wall side. Then we move on to our trim. Just size your pieces off so that you have some excess. Okay, now we're going to turn our trim into fusible trim. So pull out that reserved paper with the shiny side facing up and flatten out your trim section. Then cut pieces of fusible fabric backing the width of the back of the trim. Cut as many as you need, and then just iron those on, moving along and overlapping the pieces until they're completely attached. Once the paper has cooled, just peel off the paper. Get a piece of lining that you can reserve to use when you're fusing on your trim so you don't burn your fabric. And then just moving along slowly and steady, just pull your trim and attach it. You can reposition it as you go and just fuse that down. Once you get it where you'd like it to be, lay your lining on top and then use that to keep the iron from burning your fabric. Curve around the edges, readjusting as you need. Do both the inside and the outside edge trim, and then you'll have that completed. Now we're going to attach our Velcro. We need the soft side on the back of the center panel, so cut a 1-inch strip of fusible fabric backing and a 1-inch strip of soft side Velcro, and then just peel off the paper from both and then secure it to the upper section. Then just fold that over so it lays nice and flat. Make sure that's flat so it doesn't pop out on your rod. For the side panels, you'll use a piece of ribbon or trim to hide the connection of the two fabric sections, and then attach a straight section of trim on the side wall side, and then just follow around, attaching the trim to the curved side of both panels. Then we have to put the hard side of the Velcro on the back of the side panels. So you'll put that on the curved side, so cut a piece of 1-inch fusible backing and then fuse that like you did to the center panel, but you'll put that on the corner and then peel off that paper, and the hard side Velcro goes on that side because your panel is going to fold over your side panels and secure to the back of your rod and the back of your side panels. Okay, detach your center rod that has been taped to hold it in place, and then you'll insert the 2-inch hard side Velcro in the back of that. Then you'll slip both of your side panels on your rod with the straight side against the outside, and then you'll fold your center panel over so that it will attach to both the side panels and the center rod. Push the side panels over and as close to the wall as possible with a straight side against the wall, and then secure your center panel over your beautiful new Cornice-Style valance. Okay, now let's make the single panel valance, which is hung using a standard curtain rod. No Velcro needed. This straight valance style is made to include a rod hanging pocket, which will go across a standard curtain rod. So for this example, we're going to use 2 different fabrics joined together. So you want to place your design form on the folded edge and make sure you like the placement of the fabric before you get started. And then just place a 1-inch strip of fusible fabric backing across the whole length of the panel, and then when that's cooled off, peel it off, and then use that to adjoin the fabric sections together. Just iron across nice and straight to connect the fabrics. Okay, flip the fabric section over and you're going to place your fusible fabric backing across the back with the knobby side facing down. With this, you want to make sure that you're lining that along the lined fabric positioning marker so that you have that nice and straight, so you'll have a rod pocket, and then just fuse your fusible backing across the entire fabric section. Make sure you get it even across everywhere, and then peel off your paper and reserve it. Place your lining even with the top edge of the glue. You want to make sure that's very straight, so just follow along with your iron, sweeping from the center out to the sides until that's completely secured. Now tape off your rod, making sure that it's exact size, and then measure from side to side, including the side returns. This will give you your valance width adjustment. Fold the fabric in half with the lining side facing out, and then because my rod was 40 inches, I'm going to mark off 20 inches along the entire valance. Position your design form aligned with your marks on the right side, and then trace around the entire design form. And then you're going to trace across the top, including the rod pocket. Instead of cutting this in half like you would for a side panel, you're leaving this as one large, long, wide panel. Place a pin in the upper rod pocket section to hold it secure, and then with the folded edge facing you, just cut out your valance panel. Turn it around with the cut side facing you to remove the top section. Since we use the side panel sizing, your valance will need to be adjusted a bit shorter, so you'll mark off 1.5 to 2 inches on the bottom, trace along the bottom of the valance design form, and just remove the excess so your valance doesn't hang too low. Your valance design form includes a 3-inch pocket, so we need to turn that into a 2-inch pocket. So you'll remove 2 inches from the excess and then fold that over, iron across, and then add about a 1 3/4 inch strip of fusible fabric backing, making sure you don't cover over the lining area. Leave a section there. And then peel off your paper once it's cooled and fold that over nice and even, and then fuse down your rod pocket. Make sure you cover that very well so it's nice and secure. Okay, now it's time to attach our trim. So we want to measure off our trim, leaving a little excess, follow around the edges and across the center to hide the break between the two fabric sections. And then let's turn our trim into fusible trim. So pull out your paper with the shiny side facing up, cut off strips of fusible backing, and with the glue side facing down, just iron along as many strips as you need to attach to the back of your trim. Allow your trim to completely cool before you peel off the paper, and then beginning in the center to hide the break between the two fabric sections, just fold the trim over the outside edges, and then follow the iron along, making sure that it's straight. So you want to measure periodically to make sure that's even before you continue. As the trim does warm up, it does move easily, and then cover it with a piece of lining. You don't want to burn your fabric as you're moving along. Do your edges by sweeping around the curves and check both sides to make sure they're even as you go along. You can reposition as you go, and then secure the trim behind the upper side. Okay, your beautiful new valance is ready to hang. Thank you for joining me, Traceable Designers, and remember, you can always make your mark with Traceable Designer.